So, as I did mention, Sioux City's first railroad, the Sioux City Pacific Railroad, which was part of the Chicago Northwestern system, came up to Sioux City from Blair, Nebraska. This was in 1868. And Sioux City's history with railroads just expanded like wildfire from this point. New railroad lines were built to Sioux City almost every year from that point on through the 1870s. And really, if you want, the center of the railroads in Sioux City was just to the south of us. The first line came in from the south and along 2nd Street. That was the Sioux City Pacific. Later, just a couple years later, the Illinois Central would follow, then the Sioux City and St. Paul, which was also part of the Chicago Northwestern system. And then other lines, the Great Northern would follow, the Milwaukee Road would follow. All of them coming in to Sioux City from the Floyd River Valley, and their depots were all downtown, just south of 3rd Street. Not only were there passenger depots, but their freight warehouses were downtown as well. Some of these buildings were immense, and I do have a couple of images of these particular freight houses. A lot of you, if you've been in Sioux City for a long time, which I know many of you have, the building I'm about to show you was started downtown. It was the Chicago Northwestern Freight House. It spanned all the way the south side of 3rd Street, all the way from Jackson to here at the corner of Virginia. It was 1,008 feet long and about 50 feet wide and 2 stories in height. And just because the railroads were linear, so was this building. And you can see this image shows from about this intersection looking to the west. It was the borderline between the Chicago Northwestern Railroad, which had switching yards here, and the warehouses that lined 3rd Street at one time. Evidence of those warehouses is still around. Some of those warehouses still stand. There's the Tackaberry warehouse at the corner of Floyd. There's the Warfield Pratt Howell warehouse right here. Further down the street, there was the Knapp and Spencer, the Collerton Warfield, and the Diamond Simmons Company, all right here along 3rd, and one of them on 4th Street. And these freight houses were the link between unloading railroad cars and then loading up wagons to get to the warehouses, or in some cases, this particular warehouse right here had a bridge that crossed 3rd Street here. So this again is an image. I love this image too because it shows both horse and wagon as well as automobiles. And if you'd like to see any of these,
what year was that?
This image is probably right around. Well, it's Pratt and Mallory, so it has to be after 1920. Probably right around 1926, because that's when this was no longer the Warfield Pratt Howell and became Pratt and Mallory. That was in 1926.
So was that warehouse built after the elevated railway was gone?
Yes. Well, actually, they would have existed at the same time. The elevated railroad in this portion of downtown would have been built 1890, 1891, and that was already the warehouse. Was not all this full length, but was still down at the Jackson Street end. About just only 300 feet long instead of 1,008. So it looks like it now might be a good time to cross the street.